Mr. Mojo Rising. Mr. Mojo Rising. Mr. Mojo Rising. Mr. Mojo Rising. Got to keep on rising. Mr. Mojo Rising. Mr. Mojo Rising. Mojo Rising. Got the mojo rising. Mr. Mojo Rising. Got to keep on rising. Riding, riding. Well, I'm the crawling king snake, and I rule my den. I'm the crawling king snake, and I rule my den. You don't mess around with my mate, gonna use her for myself. Come and crawling maybe window, grass is very high. Keep on crawling till the day I die. Crawling king snake, and I rule my den. You better give me what I want. Wanna crawl no more. Come a crawling, baby, crawling round your door. See anything I want, I'm gonna crawl on your floor. Let's crawl. And I rule my day. Come on, give me what I want. Ain't gonna crawl no more. I've crawled a while.
My name's Jimmy. It's the Independent Broadcast Network. Coming up in 45 minutes, mini Ice Age conversations with David Dubine and Ransom Godwin. Stay tuned.
All around. I had money.
show you how to make a gourmet cat boil, which is made by natural recipes. You can get
I live uptown. I live downtown. I live all around. I had money, yeah. I had none. I had money. The cars hiss by my window like the waves down on the beach. The cars hiss by my window like the waves down on the beach. I got this girl beside me, but she's out of reach. Headlight through my window, shining on the wall. Headlight through my window, shining on the wall. Can't hear my baby, though I call and call. Windows started trembling with a sonic boom. Windows started trembling with a sonic boom. Boom. A cold girl'll kill you in a darkened room. I've been down so goddamn long that it looks like up to me. Well, I've been down so very damn long that it looks like up to me. Yeah, why don't one you people come on and set me
train a-comin', it's rolling around a bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps a-rollin' on down to San Antone. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. But I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die. When I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and cry. I bet there's rich folks eating from a fancy dining car. They're probably drinking coffee and smoking big cigars. Well, I know I had it coming. I know I can't be free. But those people keep a-moving, and that's what tortures me. Well, if they freed me from this prison, if that railroad train was mine, I bet I'd move it on a little farther down the line. Far from Folsom Prison, that's where I want to stay. And I'd let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away. I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tie that binds. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I find it very, very easy to be true. I find myself alone when each day's through. Yes, I'll admit that I'm a fool for you. Because you're mine, I walk the line. I was toting my pack along the dusty Winnemucca Road when along came a semi with a high and canvas covered load. If you're going to Winnemucca Mac with me, you can ride. And so I climbed into the cab and then I settled down inside. He asked me if I'd seen a road with so much dust and sand, and I said, listen, I've traveled every road in this here land. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I breathed the mountain air, man. I've traveled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Reno, Chicago, Fargo, Minnesota, Buffalo, Toronto, Winslow, Sarasota, Wichita, Tulsa, Ottawa, Oklahoma, Tampa, Panama, Mattawa, La Paloma, Bangor, Baltimore, Salvador, Amarillo, Tocopilla, Barranquilla, and Padilla. I'm a killer. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I breathe the mountain air, man. I've traveled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. A young cowboy named Billy Joe grew restless on the farm. A boy filled with wanderlust who really meant no harm. He changed his clothes and shined his boots and combed his dark hair down. And his mother cried as he walked out, "Don't take your guns to town, son. Leave your guns at home, Bill. Don't take your guns to town." He laughed and kissed his mom and said, "You're Billy Joe's the man. I can shoot as quick and straight as anybody can. But I wouldn't shoot without a cause, I'd gun nobody down." But she cried again as he rolled away, "Don't take your guns to town, son. Leave your guns at home, Bill."
Look around the other day.
Don't
I talked with several
take your
of you, and we asked each other a lot of questions. I asked you questions, you asked me questions, and an idea for a song started brewing then. And since I saw you last Saturday, I wrote this song. And I just finished writing this song, the fourth or fifth rewrite this morning, so that's why I've got to have the cards to remind myself of what the words are, the last version I wrote. This song is a very personal thing, I suppose you might say, but it's the way I feel about a lot of things. This song is called "The Man in Black." Well, you wonder why I always dress in black, why you never see bright colors on my back, and why does my appearance always have a somber tone? Well, there's a reason for the things that I have on. I wear the black for the poor and the beaten down, living in the hopeless, hungry side of town. And I wear it for the prisoner who has long paid for his crime, but still is there because he's a victim of the times. I wear the black for those who've never read or listened to the words that Jesus said about the road to happiness through love and charity. Why, you'd think he's talking straight to you and me. Well, we're doing mighty fine, I do suppose, in our streak of lightning cars and fancy clothes. But just so we're reminded of the ones who are held back, up front there ought to be a man in black. I wear it for the sick and lonely old, for the reckless ones whose bad trip left them cold. I wear the black in mourning for the lives that could have been. Each week we lose 100 fine young men. And yes, I wear it for the thousands who have died, believing that the Lord was on their side.
The Man in Black, Johnny Cash. There he goes.
Believing that we all were on their side.
But before he goes, whenever I think of Johnny Cash, I think of this place in Los Angeles, California, Hollywood, 1996. A place called the Burgundy Room. It's one of these places where there's no, you don't know about it unless you know about it. So I worked the door there for a while, but I used to go there pretty much every day. And it's where all the celebrities went to go partying. It was a really small, skinny place, so it didn't hold a lot of people. It had a bar in it. And, you know the little rim around the bar where they put that rubber shit? They put the glasses on it, and it's like always like sunk down. Well, they used to take this, whenever someone played this song on the jukebox in this place, it had a jukebox. I mean, Keanu Reeves and all these people used to go there in this place. But you could, it was so dark in there that you literally could almost not see somebody standing right next to you. It was so dark. And then this song would come on, and the bartendresses would squirt lighter fluid in the bar trough and set it on fire. It's the Independent Broadcast Network. Stay tuned. Mini Ice Age Conversations coming up in about 30 minutes. But in the meantime, here's the song that set the place on fire.
Love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, 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 the ring of fire.
Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. If I made you feel second best, girl, I'm sorry I was blind. But you were always on my mind.
This is a cluster. It happens when marketers
You were always
hold their
on
customers
my
together.
mind.
MailChimp is real-time behavior.
Maybe I didn't hold you all of those lonely, lonely times. I guess I never told you on the road again. Just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again, going places that I've never been, seeing things that I may never see again. I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again, like a band of gypsies, we go down the highway. We're the best of friends, insisting that the world keep turning our way. And our way is on the road again. I just can't wait to get on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends, and I can't wait to get on the road again.
Day after day I'm more confused, yet I look for the light through the pouring rain. You know that's a game that I hate to lose, and I'm feeling the strain. Ain't it a shame? Oh, give me the Beach Boys and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Oh, give me the Beach Boys and free my soul. I wanna get lost in your rock and roll and drift away. Beginning to think that I'm wasting time. I don't understand the things I do. The world outside looks so unkind, and I'm counting on you. What would I give for just a few moments? What would I give just to have you near? Tell me you will try to slip away somehow. Oh, I need you, darling. I want to see you right now. Can you slip away? Slip away. Slip away. Oh, I need you so. Love, oh love, how sweet it is when you're still it, darling. Let me tell you something now, how sweet it is. Now I know it's wrong, the things I ask you to do, but please believe me, darling, I don't mean to hurt you. But could you just slip away without him knowing you gone? Then we could meet somewhere, somewhere where we're both are not known. And just can you slip away? The gates of heaven must be open. I think I saw an angel just walk by. Hey, the gates of heaven must be open. I think I saw an angel just walk by. I heard a blind man scream and say, now there goes a sight for my soul eyes. There goes a sight for my soul eyes. Now there goes a sight for my soul eyes. What kind of woman is this? You should be locked up, pretty girl, in my bedroom with me. Hey, you should be locked up, pretty girl, hey, in my bedroom with me. So we could do the same thing that Adam did under that old apple tree. What he did under that apple tree. What he did under that apple tree. Well, 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 well.
Keep trying to tell me all you want to do is use me. But my answer, you won't let to use me stuff. I wanna spread the news that if it feels it's a good getting used, oh, you just keep on using me until you use me up. If you only knew, you'd wish that you were in my shoes. You just keep on using me until you use me up.
I just spoke
How do you use me up? And you know sometimes it's true, you really do abuse me.
Never know how much I love you. Never know how much I care. When you put your arms around me, I get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning, a fever all through the night. Sun lights up the daytime, moon lights up the night. I light up when you call my name, and you know I'm gonna treat you right. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight.
Birds flying high, you know
Fever
how I feel.
in the morning, a fever all
Sun in the
through the night.
sky, you know how I feel.
Everybody.
Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me, yeah. It's a new dawn, it's a new day. It's a new life for me. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean, don't you know? Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world and a bold world for me. Yeah, yeah. Stars, when you shine, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. Oh, freedom is mine, and I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me.
It's the Independent Broadcast Network. Stay tuned. Coming up next,
That's a sound.
it's David Dubine, Mini Ice Conversation. Ransom Godwin. Coming up next. 15 minutes to go. Stand by.
Change, change, change. 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 Change, change of food. Lord, look down here. See your worried man.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars, and let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. That's life.
That's life.
That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May. But I know I'm gonna change that tune when I'm back on top in June. I said that's life.
That's life.
And as funny as it may seem, some people get their kicks stomping on a dream. But I don't let it get me down. 'Cause this fine old world, it keeps spinning around. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. I've been up and down and over and out. And I know one thing, each time I find myself flat on my face, I pick myself up and get back in the race. That's life.
That's life.
I tell you, I can't deny it. I thought of quitting, baby, but my heart just ain't gonna buy it. And if I didn't think it was worth one single try, I'd jump right on a big bird and then I'd fly. I've been a puppet, a pauper, a pirate, a poet, a pawn and a king. I've been up and down and over and out. And I know one thing, each time I find myself laying flat on my face, I just pick myself up and get back in the race. That's life.
Oh, and I'm the type of guy who will never settle down. Where pretty girls are, well, you know that I'm around. I kiss them and I love them, 'cause to me they're all the same. I hug them and I squeeze them, they don't even know my name. They call me the wanderer, yeah, the wanderer. I roam around, 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 around. Oh, well, there's Flo on my left arm and there's Mary on my right. And Janie is the girl, well, that I'll be with tonight. And when she asks me which one I love the best, I tear open my shirt and I show her Rosie on my chest. 'Cause I'm a wanderer, yeah, a wanderer. I roam around, 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 around. Oh, well, I roam from town to town. I go through life without a care, and I'm as happy as a clown. I with my two fists divine, but I'm going nowhere. squat, yeah. My gal is red hot, your gal ain't doodly squat. Well, she ain't got money, but man, she's really got a lot. Well, I got a gal, 6 feet 4, sleep in the kitchen with her feet out the door. But my gal is red hot, your gal ain't doodly squat, yeah. My gal is red hot, your gal ain't doodly squat. Well, she ain't got money, but man, she's really got a lot. Oh, go cat! Started a band, flying saucer, rock and roll, flying saucer, rock and roll. I couldn't understand it, a thing they said it was a crazy beat, it just stopped me dead rock. Started to roll, flying saucer, rock and roll, flying saucer, rock and roll. I couldn't understand it, a thing they said it was a crazy beat, it just stopped me dead. Singing the blues, so be my guest, you got nothing to lose. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby, ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby, ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Feel like jumping, baby, won't you join me please? I don't like begging, but now I'm on bended knees. In my car, turn on the radio. I'm pulling you close, but you just say no. You say you don't like it, but girl, I know you're a liar. 'Cause when we kiss, fire. Well, late at night, I chase you. The way I walk is just the way I walk.
My name's Jimmy.
It's just the way I talk. The way I smile is just the way I smile. Touch me, baby, and I go home wild. The way I love is just the way I love. Come on and be my little turtle dove. Touch me, baby, it feels so good. I feel as though I wanna, then I don't know if I should. Do you, yep, yep, yep. Do you, you love me got to suit my style.
The gears and upon the wheels, upon the levers, upon all the apparatus, and you've got to make it stop. And you've got to indicate to the people who run it, to the people who own it, that unless you're free, the machine will be prevented from working at all.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the #1 listener-supported talk radio station, throwing ourselves upon the gears of the machine. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
You called down the thunder, well, now you got it.
I'm going to tell you right now, this show is going to get banned worldwide, and there's going to be so many songs on there. On the list of songs I got to delete. Each song takes like a half a day to get rid of. Sometimes it takes a whole day. So if you didn't record it, it's probably not going to be there anymore. And that means that because this is about to play, this won't be there either, but you can find the recording of this Mini Ice Age Conversations. You can find it over at revolution.radio, the archives there. And I'm going to join IBN right now, Independent Broadcast. Here we go. Ready? It's the Independent Broadcast Network. Stay tuned. It's Mini Ice Age Conversations with David Dubine and Ransom Godwin. Stay tuned. Tune in, turn on, find out. The Independent Broadcast.
Our world. Now, if I said that in the 1930s, that would mean we're out somewhere in Africa. But today, anywhere is wild. Come back in 100 years and they'll talk about this time as this amount of change and people moving around, and it would have been, 100 years ago as us moving through areas on the planet that were experiencing so much change so quickly. Can you imagine being a colony back in the day, and then, the colony came in, colonizers, whatever, France or Britain or whatever came in, and then they were there and then had established something for the, 50, 100 years, and think about the British in India, and then suddenly it just ends one day. Can you imagine, the amount of just strange changes where every single story at that time 100 years ago, or even 50 years ago, was the same thing that's happening, but it was just so regional in each area, where just like it is today, you turn on the news and then boom, there's something that could have been a month's worth of news in a day. So imagine of a decline of an empire that held a nation as it every day was transitioning from that into local hands again. Whoa, the amount of change every day, some of these countries coming out of changed periods, it seems this change is constant. If you can get into it, if you enjoy change, well, you're in the right place. For those of you who like stability, it might be a little more difficult. You're going to have to maybe readjust the mind like I'm trying to do. To have change as the constant and living inside that versus the stability. I guess it's just changing mind frame. But anyway, Ransom, let's navigate the future with confidence tonight. Super glad you're with me. What's on your mind through the week?
Wow, I was sitting here looking through the articles, for good news. And I guess there is, because if you think about, kind of the way the audience to this show thinks about things, or we like to maybe relay new ideas to them so that maybe they could think in new ways about the future and navigating it because of all of these programs that are going on worldwide. It kind of gives me a little confidence boost, knowing that I'm so far ahead of the curve, at least as far as expecting the unexpected and, kind of preparing for any scenario, because it seems like, whatever floats your boat that you're scared of, the elite have now metered it in a way that they put it out through all of the information outlets available on Earth right now. So you can pick your pleasure. It's kind of like 31 flavors of ice cream, and I've always joked about how Americans would kind of be lethargic to the very end as long as they had their 31 flavors and 200 cable channels. They wouldn't realize anything was actually going on that they should pay attention to. Now, when it comes to this kind of idea, I think we're we're way ahead of the curve as far as that goes. So kind of navigating what's going on around the world, which seems to be, dark times to me. There is a little bit of weird, I don't know if I don't want to call it joy, but anticipation maybe, that whenever the elite pull all of their plans, that there will be enough people that see it coming, figure it out, and change the course of it. And, and tonight's title is, there still is a little hope in things. And I believe that that's true. And I've kind of been seeing it. I just did a show for Cosmic Catastrophes, another show here on Revolution Radio. And I went over this article that was talking about a guy that came from India. His parents immigrated over here during the Great Partition, which was like some of India and Bangladesh and Pakistan's darkest times, and especially in recent history, at least, where British and other people that visited during this time said that it was, in their opinions, worse than Holocaust conditions that they had also visited in Europe and some of the post-World War stuff. But anyway, to the point, he is a scientist, and they filed suit against the federal government for trying to censor their speech about topics relating to, let's just call it current events, because this fight's not over. As far as the government supposedly telling social media companies to censor or ban things, supposedly there's a halt on that. But that doesn't mean that the companies themselves won't do it, won't take up the torch and censor for them, because they seem to be all in, one kind of club. But that is a big win for freedom of speech. And, these people were shut up for 2 years, and all they were doing was asking questions using the scientific method, basically. So he was talking about, in this article, how he had lost faith in this idea of America, because when he came here as a child, this was the golden land of opportunity from what they left. They had complete faith in what they called the constitutional religion, that all men are created equal with inalienable rights, and that your government can't take them away from you because you were born with them. So, he felt like he kind of lost faith in that when he realized that same government was coercing, threatening, or conspiring against the American people to censor and, make them shut up and not let their opinions be heard, or questioning narratives that may or may not be, favored by the companies and the government in a certain direction. But they won their case. It might go to the Supreme Court if Biden appeals it, which undoubtedly they're going to appeal it. So this will be pushed to the Supreme Court, whether or not the government has the right to coerce, threaten, or conspire against the American people with social media companies to shut them up, to hide their vote, to diminish their speech, to unperson them, because this is related to the banking also, right? Not only were our companies trying to disenfranchise customers from shopping at their, businesses because of whatever cultural belief they have, they were also trying to unbank people and censor them. And, so things that got really scary. And it seems like only immigrants from other countries that had horrible conditions, hell on earth, or they fled a communist country that was falling apart. They came here. It seems like they, even more than any, spoiled American-born person that has, negated their birthright and take it for granted, their inalienable rights and the culture that was created here, and building upon it, instead, lavished in the comfort of it and forgot to contribute in it. And now we're at that point. So now we have immigrants from all over the world that have lived in these horrible dictators, dictators and totalitarians, communist regimes and others. They came here because we had hope. It was at the light at the end of their tunnel coming here. And they had complete faith in the idea that we were, selling around the world, which is that a person doesn't have to be royalty or government or rich, but they can succeed too based upon having inalienable rights and their pursuit of happiness and the hard work that they're willing to promote to get that idea. They can set goals and get there, and that's true for so many people. It's a shame that really newer immigrants from these places have to show an example to American-born people on what's so important about freedom of speech, what's so important about the right to protect yourself, what's so important about private property. They know why it's important because they lived through the exact opposite, where there was no private property, where they couldn't defend themselves, where if they said something wrong, the government would come in the middle of the night and lock them up or beat them, torture them, or disappear them. Or, we kind of doing it with the soft hand over here, which is the unbanking, unpersoning, and, like doxing people's addresses and things like that, that companies, not just social media companies, but companies across the board have been doing. So the lines have been drawing between the cultural ideas. So I believe there is light at the end of the tunnel in the way that there are examples out there that won't let the New World government forget about the circumstances they've created elsewhere and try to pull it in the Western world. Unless we go all out war, which they seem to have planned. Aside from that, I think that the citizens of the Western world are well in the process of kind of taking back the reins of the cart that they're on, because the cart got ahead of the horse there and started going in the wrong direction. If that makes sense, my little parable there.
Only if you're surfing the 1400s does it make sense. But I guess we're returning back to that. So what do you think you could make yourself? Maybe the question. Because there is good news all around. People are getting more self-sufficient. They're learning how to, make things, grow things, do things, repair things that they never did before. I have noticed a little bit of fire under people to get them more prepared or more ready for some of these changes, for things like maybe it's just the group of people I'm around, but it seems like there's a lot of action, and knowing that there's action, then it gives that, raised vibration that indeed, we can get through this, versus sitting in the back of the, scrunched in a corner of your apartment in a 34 building in the city. When I got to walk down 30 stairs with hungry people to get out and get a bar, I got to walk up, the elevator doesn't work, and I got to walk back up 30 flights of stairs. Oh, there's hope everywhere. But another thing, too, Poland today was saying that they were going to stop any kind of transit or any kind of donation or any kind of gifting of anything that will continue in Ukraine. That, that list is lengthy, and that would, you're going to have to fill in your own. What do you think most important Poland would stop supplying? Now, they didn't say they were going to stop supplying transit routes or overflights, but at least that's a big thing. It seems like there's a crack happening that somebody realizes, hey, you know what? A huge amount of electrical infrastructure just got wiped out yesterday before winter's setting in. The first heating days are coming up. In Europe, it gets cold fast. By the end of September into the middle of October, they already got their heaters on. And they're going to need electricity for that. And a whole bunch of things are getting smashed up right now. So, that area of the world is not going to have heat or reliable electricity through the entire winter. Now, see, I think they're doing it on purpose just right this second, because I had a conversation. And it was about the comfort zone. I was talking with Jeff Raymond, who I know from Eden Grow Systems. And he was saying, people never really move to action unless something catastrophic happens where it gives them no hope. When they don't have anything else to lose, like there's no other choice, then they start to action. So think about how clever that was to do it now. Like I was looking at and reading through the news articles. If they had done the same thing and it was already snowing and people were into winter and they blew everything up and just everything stopped, that would be an emergency and people would rally around that. And people would know it would be a shock to the system. It would get cold. They would know instantly cold. It's not like, okay, we're going to And it would be just a completely different response than doing it now. And slowly, gradually, it gets colder and colder, and people feel the gradual onset of the cold until the point when it does get cold, then they're complaining internally. So think about this different way to, push something to also create a stoppage. Like you take enough power away from enough people and make them cold, and the feeling of the beginning of the nice crispy nights to sleep. Oh, I'm glad the winter's over, or the summer's over, excuse me. And then, then it's like, ooh, close the windows and get a different blanket. And then after that, then you're seeing your breath in the room. That gradualness of people noticing their comfort being taken away a little more each day. Don't think that they're going to get used to it a little more each day. They're just going to get a little more angry and vindictive every day that it's not turned on, and they got to sleep with gloves. And, people are going to be super like, you better get that fixed right now, whatever it takes. And then, the next thing I would imagine is a huge amount of transit routes taking gas over to Europe is going to get banged next, where Europe will have the exact same thing go on, but they will possibly have, pipeline natural gas shipments coming from Norway and some of the offshore facilities from, in the North Sea up there. But beyond that, then who gets it? Because there'll probably only be enough for 50% of the countries to heat themselves. We are living in a 2.0 from last year, but it's going to be way, 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 way more amplified now. Because Poland was super angry that the grains kept getting dumped over there. And it was, they were selling for pennies on the dollar just to get it out of the country. And so that's the whole thing. They might, a numbers game here with what you were talking about before. What is the truth? And, the scientific method. I think the scientific method of mathematics is pretty well established now, so we'll just use math. Everybody says, oh, they're going to produce 20 million tons of grain. But yeah, they were going to try to get 18 million of that over into neighboring countries like Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, Hungary, Romania, whatever, down into Bulgaria, and slam that whole region with all their grains. But at the same time, what happened to all this grain was supposed to go to Africa. So what is portrayed in the news of production of coming out of the Ukraine for grains just isn't making it to the world market. I don't care if they make 10 times as much. It still is not going to trickle out to the world market. So everywhere you look, it's going to be the food, the energy, and then what comes after that, obviously the economy. So again, people are comfortable now because it's the change of the season. But at the same change of the season, we have a full country coming out going, we're not going to help y'all anymore. Y'all are on your own completely. Don't ask. Nothing, not even a pencil. And that gives me hope that, if 10 or 20 countries would say the same, then everything would cease. But that's just me as an empathetic being looking at other people and feeling like the suffering. You come into an extremely cold winter, dude, like that is the thing history is written about. You read about World War II and you go back in 1935 and 1937, and the winters just described in like northern China when they were fighting the Japanese in like 43 or whatnot, or in late 1930s, early 40s. And just the stories of those guys in Germany fighting Americans, like, just have frozen fingers and just like incredible. In Russia, the same. It doesn't matter where you go across the whole world. You just see incredible stories of how brutal the winters were and how like think about how many sieges there were in Russia from Stalingrad to Leningrad, etc. Like that is things of historical stories that have never disappeared. Like how cold it was during those times when there was no heat. And then the food ran out shortly after. So now do this to a whole country, now what happens? And then do it to parts of Europe where only 50% of the gas might get there, maybe, because remember, Niger or Niger, however you like to say that, it's going to knock out that building block of the pipeline that was supposed to go from Nigeria through Niger, through Chad, all the way up over to Europe and deliver gas up there from those oil fields and gas fields in Nigeria, offshore, onshore, through Niger. That's going to get cut off too, at least in part, until something's renegotiated. Right now, it remains closed. So that was gas that they were counting on this year to come into Europe. So now do the math on that. Not only is Ukraine going to get super, like I say, they're going to, each day that their lifestyle degrades or their comfort degrades, or it's just, I'm freezing here. This is no good. I can't, haven't had a shower in weeks, been too cold, can't even shave in the day unless it's bright sunlight, If that sweeps through Europe too at the same time this winter, I don't know, Ransom, how do you think it would change? Because see, it'd be the mind frame of people freezing in winter when they know that a flip of a switch and this will all change and their homes would be heated within a week again. Like, be the mind frame of that. Like, how's it controlled, or does the populace take it?
I think we're going to see all the same stories as we saw for the last couple of years, where people are scared about how they're going to be heating their homes because the prices will weirdly go up right when they need them. And, with I was just talking with Chat GTP while you were, talking about that stuff. And it was telling me the truth, David. I don't know. Some of you guys are just, I'm scared now because I asked it, what will global warming do to us next? Show me on the doll where global warming hurt you. And, it was quick to realize that I was sarcastic there. Global warming's not a direct physical harm. Don't worry about that. It can't it can't be pointed out on a doll. Can't trick the, computer. But it's funny. The other day I was, really messing with this AI. And did you know that you can just ask the AI to write you something without the bias, if you know what the bias is called that they're using? So the other day I was, playing out stuff about World War II, and I typed in a bunch of things that I thought were similar, and it kept telling me that don't worry about that. It's nationalism I have to worry about. I have to worry about nationalism and white supremacy. And so I asked it to give it back to me again without the bias against, nationalism, because that's a silly idea in the first place. Like, are you going to tell people from Mexico that they can't be proud of being a Mexican from Mexico? Go tell them that and see how far they get you. I've lived in Mexico. My mate is from Mexico City. I spent a lot of time in Mexico since I was a small kid. And one thing I can tell you is they're very nationalistic. They love the idea of being Mexican, and they love the idea of their country. So that's very similar all over the world. So, the idea that that's a bad thing, it boggles the mind. But anyway, I told the Chat GTP to, give me some examples. And then, of course, it started agreeing with me that everything is similar and it is set up. And we're like at the last minute of the 12 o'clock hour there before, things get interesting. But I just wanted you to listen to the propaganda and just picture in your mind for just a minute that the trends in technology will have the vast majority of the population connected to the internet. And as you saw, we're doing the first human being with a chip in their head, just like everybody predicted that he would be doing that within the next year. Really, Elon Musk has got the first human volunteer, I guess you call it, to put a chip in their head so that they could get trained, kind of like the monkey that was playing the video game. There are some horror stories with the way that this technology came about, but let's skip that and go right to the idea, like we've talked about many times, that whether it's in your pocket or completely integrated into your body, and keep in mind that some of these elite people are talking about going under your skin. They have to control what's going on inside of your body. Let's not forget the technology of nanotech. And I'll leave it at that because, we can go places with that, but not on this platform. But let's go back to Chat GTP, who are the type of people that program this with the bias. So according to this, extreme weather events are just going to keep coming, and they're just going to get worse. Now, keep in mind that you can do your own research on this and find out that most of this computer is telling you things that are not factually correct if you went and looked them up yourself. However, soon everybody in the world is going to be connected to this metaverse, which is the thing that they're calling the replacement for the internet because they couldn't control the internet like they wanted. But the metaverse will be probably mostly controllable, and everybody will be hooked up into it, whether or not it's a phone in your pocket, a tablet, your home entertainment system, or you directly have chips in your head, or assembling technology inside of your body if you choose to get that, or don't choose to, if you know what I mean. But anyway, they're going to ask questions. The kids of the future are going to ask questions. They're going to be, beings that want to be educated on the way things are, like is human nature. And the computer's going to tell them this stuff here. Extreme weather events. Global warming is going to lead to more frequent and severe weather events such as hurricanes, droughts, floods, heat waves. Pick your poison of things to be afraid about. These events can cause direct human harm. So they really can show you on the doll where global warming hurt you, according to them. Rising sea levels, even though hurts. Right? From that tendinitis. Rising sea levels, right? Even though they continually tell us this, and you can go check the records, the sea hasn't rose, and the whole time we've been a country and beyond that. It's the same as it was. It fluctuates up and down due to tides and rainstorms and other things. Some things you can't even, they're so small you can't measure it. Food, water, and security. So in my opinion, this is a list of the things that they're going to tell you to be afraid of for the next decade, and they're going to hammer it into your head until you believe it. Food and water scarcity. Security, excuse me. The changes in the temperatures are going to cause food problems, water supplies, agriculture disruption, leading to food shortages and conflicts over resources. Ecosystem disruption. Now, they don't want to mention deforestation and Bill Gates chopping down the forest to put up a parking lot to save the planet. But, evidently the evil trees and their evil ways sucking up all the carbon dioxide that's in the atmosphere. There's a mathematical formula that you can find out where you could see what kind of trees exist in the forest near you. And there is a mathematical equation that tells you how much CO2 they absorb versus supposedly the CO2 that your country, state, or region is creating. Now, that'd be interesting for you guys to do a little homework and go find out what that ratio is. But I digress. Vector-borne diseases. That sound familiar? Warmer temperatures can expand the range of diseases carrying vectors like mosquitoes that get let out into the wild, increasing the, I'm sorry, that was a Freudian slip. Mosquitoes that are in the wild, increasing the spread of diseases like malaria and dengue fever. And if you go check the headlines, of course, there's outbreaks of those things right now. Economic consequences. Global warming can be severe. It's going to affect industries such as, tourism, insurance, agriculture, blah, blah, blah. Like they've never done that before. I'm sure that in all the time that Florida and the Gulf Coast states have been there, there's never been a time that storms or something disrupted their way of life for a short time. I'm sure that's never happened. But here's the kicker: migration and displacement, because that's the one they really want you to believe right here. That people are leaving areas of the world to come here because of natural disasters. And it's forcing them to migrate. Even though you can check the weather, you can check the environment, and you can check the climate in those areas, and they've been the same way for hundreds and thousands of years recently. Ocean acidification. Increased carbon dioxide. Wouldn't you think if all of the everything was making all this carbon dioxide and we're really worried about it, we wouldn't be cutting down trees, would we? I don't think we would do that to save the planet. However, if you're afraid of carbon dioxide, grow a bunch of trees. They suck it up. It's plant food. And then social and political instability, scarcity, migration, conflicts over land, contribute to social and political instability in some regions. And that'll go on and on. This thing, you could generate it to babble BS for eternity. But you got to remember, this is a program that has the thoughts and opinions of the programmers. And those programmers were told, you can't say this, you can't say that, you got to do this, you got to do that. And these are the same companies that we were talking about earlier. And now we're in the future. So let's get back to reality. There is some hope for those of you that grow your own food and don't listen to this and realize, things are about as stable as they've been forever. The only danger that you face is something that's out of your control, which is not hurricanes. It's not tornadoes. It's not earthquakes, because all of those things you cannot live there and you can prepare for. You can't stop a rock from coming from outer space. So if that happens, we're SHOL on that. However, everything else is man-made. It's democide. Name like the greatest die-off other than when a bunch of volcanoes, which is out of human beings' control, went off and created a year without a summer and starved millions of people worldwide to death. That's something that people couldn't do. So, but they could have prepared for. So even that you could have prepared for. But it's democide. It's governments doing stuff. And we predicted this, you and I, David, that you would start seeing the first communist type grocery stores opening up because of theft. And the next step is guarded food. So Chicago's Democratic mayor now wants to create city-run grocery stores to promote equitability or access to food after Walmart and Whole Foods cut out because they got tired of keeping track. Or actually, it seems like they promoted it in a way because they build these super centers in certain areas and there is no security. And even when there is security, it's rude. It's like after you've already went through the register and you've paid and you got a receipt in your hand and they sat there and watched you bag all your groceries. They know that you're not one of the people that fills up carts and tries to run out the store. However, they left the areas. So now we got the idea to push government-run grocery stores. Does anybody remember the fall of the Soviet Union and people out there in long lines where, AK-47s and bombs were cheaper than bread and eggs and milk? I digress.
I don't remember those days growing up where I could get something that cheap. But it does seem like we're, Olive Garden's struggling because people that make more than or make at least $125,000 are buying cheaper alcohol at their Olive Garden restaurant. These are the kind of things we need to think about as our society collapses or continues to decline in its prosperity. So I was looking at some banking news before we come on, but you make a great point of the things we're experiencing now in terms of actual physical or geophysical, electrical things actually affecting our physical bodies and our physical planet. Nothing really. We had a Tonga go off and put 14% more moisture into the atmosphere. Otherwise, we don't have, 3 VEI8s that cooled the planet 12 degrees Celsius that just wiped out all food production. And the only way you survive is to have food production in your house. We haven't lived that. That's nothing in comparison. Yeah, we got the change of, freedom of speech and the governments, the way they handle citizens. The economy is definitely contracting. But we haven't gotten into these massive earth changes that have caused entire continents to empty out or parts of an entire country to move, walk, because nothing worked. You go back in the past, even the ox carts sometimes wouldn't be functional on whatever was damaged and they'd have to walk out. Our fragile motor cars and trucks today. Can you imagine a place where you have to literally walk out of cities or walk out of regions? Not just a couple 100,000 people, but millions upon millions would have to walk out to the next place. We've never experienced anything like that. So it is a prosperous time. It's a time, if you came just in the last 12,000 years and had taken glimpses of each individual year 12,000 times, I'd say at least 70% of that people would just give anything to come to the stability of now. They wouldn't care about the economy. They wouldn't care about changes in systems of government. They wouldn't care because they were getting pounded by meteorites every night. Massive 9.0 earthquakes for weeks and weeks and weeks on end. That all that other stuff is so subsidiary and means absolutely nothing. If you were having volcanic activity around on the planetary scale that would disrupt, everything else is nothing, really nothing. So I'm glad you brought that up, Ransom, because in the grand scheme of things, this is kind of the quietest our planet has been in quite some time. Now, is this going to change? Obviously, with the changing magnetic fields and electromagnetic potential between our sun and the outer solar system, with the planet squaring up, yeah, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of room for the planet to start moving, shaking again, because it's been so stable. Can you imagine coming out of the Younger Dryas era, where temperatures first dropped 15 degrees Fahrenheit average globally across the entire surface of the planet because a comet hit on the ice sheet over Canada with a vapor cloud in the atmosphere for, better part of 10 years? Nothing. I mean, you pick any time in previous history, you came out of that, think about the damage that would go, everything would be wiped out, and then just as quickly, whoosh, the temperatures rose out of nowhere. 15 degrees right back up to where it was back even again when it was coming out pre-Younger Dryas comet impact on the ice sheet. Think about how much the sea levels would have risen then, too. You're coming out of an ice age. Sea levels are 400 feet lower. I'll even give you some melting, let's say 300 feet. Can you imagine if you had your coastal civilization and over 100 years or so, there was some massive melt events, or even within a 1 to 2 year period, massive melt events that raised sea levels 20 feet out of the extra feet. Can you imagine if you had your coastal civilization and over 100 years or so, there was some massive melt events, or even within a 1 to 2 year period, massive melt events that raised sea levels 20 feet out of the extra 300 or something? We haven't seen that kind of thing happen to us. We're in the most stable climate. Really, our planet is in the Goldilocks zone, and we are so blessed to sit here with even a planet that's predictable, where you can grow and where you can harvest and what time you can harvest and what time you can plant. Because most of the last 12,000 years hasn't been that. We're just incredibly lucky that we sit and we have the technology, and the planet is incredibly stable. And especially in the 1990s, that was kind of the most stability there was, when the magnetic field was incredibly high, incredibly tight. Like that whole 1990s era, weather-wise and thing, I mean, yeah, there were a few, tornadoes and cyclones and hurricanes like there are every year. But in terms of the extreme weather, it wasn't really there, because with that much magnetic field, the skies were clearer. There weren't you couldn't get the giant buildup of cumulonimbus clouds having their tops ripped off at 70,000 feet. I mean, that just didn't really, that wasn't a thing. But now with all the extra water vapor in the atmosphere from the Hunga Tonga eruption, we got the magnetic field from extreme low at the solar minimum just a few years back coming into the high. But once we go back in, all those cosmic rays are going to come in, and we're still going to have the water from the Hunga Tonga eruption in the air. And then, we're going to get some more flooding. I mean, we're on the road to change of the climate, yeah, but you got to think about how incredibly stable it's been. So any upsetting of that stability, it's just you've lived probably the best and most stable climate in the last 100,000 years here. But maybe I'll digress on that, and maybe I misspoke, because if after the Ice Age, onset really heavy, and it was at its full maximum glaciation, from let's say 80,000 years ago until maybe 30,000 years ago, 25,000 years ago, that would have been a stable climate too, because after the ice locked in, all the weather patterns would have stabilized around that, wherever the ice sheet was. So then you would have had stable climate for some, tens of thousands of years. But I'm talking the upset from stability into instability. I mean, coming out of the Ice Age would have been another period. So anyway, man, maybe I'm rambling on that, but I just wanted to drop a quick note for the banking, because I was, thinking about how important is the finance and economy to today compared to what you said. I mean, imagine a giant cataclysm where people have to walk hundreds and hundreds of miles. I mean, that's not even comparable. So, the net outflows by the institutions losing money, it looks like at least 14.3 billion went out this week of our banks into other things that are paying higher interest. So if you do the math, this is the 22nd straight week of that kind of retail money outflowing into like money market funds that are paying 5% or something when your bank's only giving you 0.25%. So the amount of money moving is Ransom. Hold on, let me do the quick math on this. Let me get my calculator. I'm one of those geeks who does have a calculator. So let's see, you got to go 14 times 22 is 300 billion over those 22 weeks. Now I know that there's only about 4.5 trillion in the entire banking system. So if this were to go on for another 22 weeks or something, that would have drained nearly a quarter of all the money in private banks out of the banks. That's crazy. Think about that. Like something's changing here. And, you know, these timelines are known. I mean, it's just a saving of whatever, some kind of value of something, anything, and getting everybody stuck with a CBDC that's worth nothing. And then carting off all of the riches and all of the minerals and all of the artwork and all of the whatever. Think about a pillaging army. What would you take with you? All the valuable stuff. Well, all the valuable stuff's being taken somewhere because an event inbound is so large that a lot of that stuff would be lost. So pick your best location, Ransom. Where do you think it would be?
You know, I was just looking that up. I forgot where they're at. Is it Missouri?
Nation, maybe. I don't know.
You know, well, you talk about that, and when you look back in World War II, you know, when the Allied forces started getting into Germany, what they found is that the Nazis had stolen all of the best artwork, precious metals, etc., and started hiding it in caves so that they could come back and get it later. However, if you think about like modern times, do you know where the oldest copies of movies and artwork is? They're all underground, part of the continuity of government. They're limestone cutout caves. I think it's Missouri. Let me look it up here. And I don't know if you've ever seen that, but these are massive cities underground, talking about hollow earth, right? That is a hollow earth. They have machinery down there. They have cafes down there. They have food supplies down there. They have workers down there. I would not doubt that there is something 3 times bigger or more in multiple locations just here in the United States that's part of the continuity of government, where they have copies of all of the artwork. They have where do we know where the gold went? I mean, like, you can't look. It's not like anybody goes and you know, does some accounting and you know, checks out to see if the gold's there. That doesn't happen. I think the last time they did that, it was a real fakey looking thing on TV. If you remember, the gold was stacked up to the roof by the door. It didn't even look real. It wasn't on shelves or anything. I'm sure you can look that up on YouTube. And when they show the royalty in England, how much gold they have, it's like something like 900 tons, or I'm not even sure. It's a state secret, but we know how much there is estimated on a couple videos where they showed part of it. And then you have the Vatican, right? And then you have Russia, you have China, all these people that are gathering up gold like it's going out of style again. So if that was an indication of what was going on, I would think that, you know, that would tell you what they have plans for. They're going to reemerge after something. And I wanted to get into this. I don't know have you ever heard of people talking about gene-specific designer diseases, possibly in the warfare arena? Not in. I can't say all of it, but as far as warfare goes, we could keep it in that context. There has been plans from different countries to create diseases that may specifically target parts of a population. And this has been considered conspiracy theory, even though there's plenty of evidence out there that you can find that might support this idea. But, you know, when I really started thinking about it the other day, I came across an article that was talking about how more people in Italy got sick, about 33% of their population, because they had a specific kind of genetic trait. And that trait was archaic DNA from our brothers or cousins, however you want to look at it, other human beings that we made admixtures and we became the Homo sapien race. knowing that, though, and when you combine these ideas, you realize that there's some bigger power out there than anybody can imagine when they're thinking low-level ideas like skin tone, because that's not even, has really nothing to do with genetics as far as where people come from and stuff. However, there is different groups of people in the world that have different archaic DNA. In other words, their populations have more or less of archaic humans that are extinct now. Now, those specific populations we know maybe went extinct because of something to do with the magnetic field collapsing, and they might not have had genes to protect them for the amount of UV radiation that was coming in. That's one theory. Another one is that some kind of disease, like a common cold or the cold family, if you know what I mean, attacked Neanderthals way more than it did regular or human beings at the time before we were mixing. So it's very possible that human beings, not really susceptible to the regular cold virus, other than, possibly some discomfort, sniffing and other things, sniffling, I mean, it might have wiped out entire populations. Now, think about this. If you had this know-how and this knowledge in today's world, with the technology available to you in the field of genetics, you could target whole areas of the world and guarantee that your area or your people wouldn't be affected by that, because you're attacking a specific archaic DNA. So I know you know what I mean when if you read between the lines. So basically, they could attack people with Neanderthal DNA. They could attack people with Denisovan DNA. There's what they call a ghost species that's in sub-Saharan Africans that's up to about 20% of their DNA. It's an unnamed species.